Each and every one of us has an unlimited inner wellspring of spiritual power. You have the ability to transform, create, and heal anything upon which you set your heart and mind. Join me, Sarah Hall, as we learn how to uplift all aspects of your life through spiritual empowerment. Enjoy weekly guided meditations, spiritual discussions on a multitude of topics, and a chance to call in to receive channeled messages from the angels on your spiritual journey. I'm Sarah Hall, and this is Through the Eyes of the Angels. Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for one of my favorite traditions, actually, of the year, our annual Solstice Stories episode of Through the Eyes of the Angels. Stories are food for the soul. I remember once asking the angels for guidance on the question, what were some of the first steps of humanity's spiritual awakening? I was curious. And the answer that I received actually surprised me, but in a really delightful way. The angels communicated, when you began to dance and when you began to tell stories. And then immediately a vision of ancient peoples, far before historical memory, came into my mind. A vision of our most ancient ancestors gathering around a fire to kindle and nourish the hearts and souls of humanity with stories and dance. So today we are going to gather around our own kind of virtual fire and share stories that celebrate the light, the birth of the light, the triumph of the light, and the powerful magic of the light. And as you journey through these stories with me, perhaps you will kindle your own inner light, because spiritual light, which is the presence of God, is within every being. And that light is conscious. It rests in the highest state of consciousness that there is, that of divine love. Divine love is a state of being so powerful that it made the cosmos and quietly animates all of life. When you awaken to its presence, its miraculous beauty and power is yours too. So, let's begin our journey into our psyche, into our hearts, into our souls, with an old story. A story that comes to us from ancient Egypt. It's a story that might sound familiar in some ways because truthfully, it has been retold in many cultures, throughout many traditions, many timelines throughout the world. Because it's generally a universal story. And it's a universal story about the truth of what the human journey is. The archetypes, or rather common themes that we see in stories everywhere, are the universal rites of passage that mark the journey of the human soul, which is a journey that all of us are experiencing now. So that's why you might find something familiar in this. This is a story about the rebirth of light from darkness, the triumph of light and goodness over fear, lack, and hatred. This is the story of the birth of Horus, and it was a story told around the time of the winter solstice. Now, long ago, there was a couple who loved each other very much named Osiris and Isis. Osiris was a kind god of light love, nurturing, goodness. And when human beings were born from the tears of Ra, they were uncivilized and barbaric. So Osiris taught them culture, religious observances, and the art of agriculture. And people were all equal at this beautiful time. They all received the gifts of Isis, which were dispensed to all. Food was plentiful, and there was no want, there was no need unfulfilled. Now Osiris's brother, Set, grew jealous and hateful of him. So Set, the god of ego, lack, consciousness, greed, fear, tricked Osiris into laying down in a casket he had made to his brother's exact specifications, and once Osiris was inside, Set slammed the lid on and threw the box into the Nile. And I think this part might sound familiar because for so many of us this can happen. The fearful or egoic part of the mind might tempt or trick us with a fear-based thought of some kind, asking us to step into its limited way of thinking, into its boxed-in, limited way of thinking. And then, when we attach to that thought, when we get in, fear shuts our light and our power away from us, or at least it tries to. Well, the casket floated down the river to eventually lodge in a tamarisk tree by the shores of Byblos, where the king and the queen admired its beauty and the sweet scent, and so they had it cut down for a pillar in their court. While this is going on, Set usurped Osiris's rule and reigned over the land with his wife Nephthys. He neglected the gifts that Osiris and Isis had bequeathed the people, and the land suffered with drought and with famine. And this too might sound familiar to you, because without love, the light cannot be nourished. The soul cannot be nourished. Our health and our strength deteriorate without the power of love inside of us. Love is our essence. Isis, the queen of love, knew that she had to bring Osiris back from wherever Set had banished him, and so she went out searching for him. And she finally found him inside the tree pillar at Byblos and asked the king and queen for it and then brought it back to Egypt. Osiris was dead, but Isis knew that she could bring him back to life because, of course, love heals all things. And the angels want us to know that this is true. Love heals and restores all things, even things that seem to be lifeless, gone from us. Love miraculously restores. So Isis asked her sister Nephthys to stand guard over the body and protect it from Set, while she went to go and gather her herbs for healing potions. Set, meanwhile, had heard that his brother had returned and was out looking for him, and he found Nephthys and tricked her into telling him where the body was hidden. Then he hacked Osiris into pieces and scattered the body all across the land and into the Nile. When Isis came back, she was horrified to find her husband's body missing, and Nephthys told her how she had been tricked and what Set had done to Osiris. So the two sisters then went in search of the body parts and reassembled Osiris. Now his penis had been eaten by a fish in the Nile, so he was incomplete, but Isis could still return him to life. Isis used her magic and her potions, and Osiris survived but could no longer rule among the living because he was no longer whole. So he would have to descend to the underworld and reign there as Lord of the Dead. Fitting, isn't it? Someone who has died and become reborn again, to guide those who would go through a similar journey. Now, prior to his departure, Isis transformed herself into a falcon and flew around his body, drawing his seed into herself and becoming pregnant with Horus. Osiris left for the underworld, and Isis, the brave mother of love, who would protect love and light no matter the cost, she went into hiding in the delta region of Egypt to protect herself and her son from Set. Isis endured a very difficult pregnancy. On the night of the winter solstice, the darkest and longest night of the year, after an exceptionally long and painful labor, Isis gave birth to Horus, alone in the swamps of the delta. The mother of love braved and endured the darkest and swampiest and most painful moments of darkness's hold. She suffered through everything until she had given birth to hope again, given birth to the child of love, to a reborn part of Osiris, the god of light, and love returned again, whole this time. Isis hid herself and her son from Set and his demons, hiding in the thickets, only going out at night for food, accompanied by a bodyguard of 7 scorpions who were given to her by the goddess Selket. Selkis helped to watch over Horus while Isis was out. Isis, Selket, and another goddess by the name of Neith nurtured Horus and educated him in their exile until he grew to manhood and was strong enough to challenge his uncle for his father's kingdom. So hope and faith endured to nurture the child of love, to kindle the spark of light for the world until it could grow into fullness, into flames, and in time reclaim the land, bringing an end to the suffering of famine, renourishing the soul of humanity with the infinite abundance that love and light provide. Perhaps this journey sounds familiar to you in some ways. Maybe you have experienced an eclipse of the light in your own heart before. Maybe you too know what it is to gather your strength and fight to protect your hope until it grows and rekindles the light within you. Now, the next story comes to us from Barbara Brodsky, who is a spiritual teacher who channels an ascended master by the name of Aaron. And in one of Aaron's lifetimes, he was called Nathaniel. And he was a good friend of Jesus, then called Yeshua. And Yeshua, like Horus, was also the miracle child of love, born of the mother of faith, hope, and love. Just like so many gods and deities and figures and stories and legends were. Born in the darkest time as a miracle to the mother of love. And Yeshua spent his whole life teaching others to find, embody, and restore the light within, the consciousness of love. So here is a simple story of a time when he did just that. And this is in the voice of Nathaniel, the first person of Nathaniel. While I was walking through the hills with Jesus and others, a boy who was carrying a lamb with a broken leg came to greet him. The boy was crying because of the lamb's obvious pain and because he was afraid it would die. Jesus took the lamb into his arms. There were some shepherds about and also a group of people who were walking with him. He said to the boy, "Come walk with us, we'll see what we can do." Certainly Jesus could have healed the lamb instantaneously, straightened the leg and handed it back to the boy, and then word would have quickly spread that Jesus had performed a miracle. But instead, he held the lamb in his arms and we walked, and the mother sheep walked along with us. Dusk came, and Jesus said to the boy, "Stay with us, have supper, and sleep here with us. We'll see how the lamb is in the morning. The lamb drank from its mother's milk. It was laid on the ground, and we all went to sleep. And in the morning, we found the lamb was standing squarely on all four of its legs and sucking from its mother. And the boy was filled with wonder. "Look what you did," he exclaimed. And Jesus said, "No, it was not I who did this, but the wonder of life has restored itself in this lamb." Jesus was saying that he was simply the channel through whom the divine had worked, thus bringing the lamb to its own healing. He neither took credit nor denied. He just indicated that the lamb had found his healing through the wonder of life. And so you see the light within, the presence of that divine love inside is powerful. When we remember it, it is restorative. But it's not a power of the ego, is it? It's not a power that seeks to overpower other things. It's a power with the magical divine forces of God that flow through everything. It's an opening to that God presence. It is allowing that presence to flow through you without any hindrances of doubt or limited thinking. Your power is thus not the power of the individual, limited and fleeting, but the power of God. Your power is God's power, and it is unlimited. And when we get in touch with that true power, we also get in touch with our inner light. And that light will always triumph over darkness. Love, in other words, will always triumph over things like fear, hate, cruelty, and so forth, because love is the essence of the eternal light. It is the only force in the universe, the only state of consciousness that remains changeless. Unlike the states of being of the ego, it is not fleeting. At the core of your consciousness, of all consciousness, there is the light of love, eternal and infinite. And it rests quietly, pouring out its essence around and between every thought that you think. It is your pure life force. And because it's the only thing that is eternal, that light will always triumph. When sunlight shines upon a shadow, the shadow can't simply overpower the sun. The shadow doesn't go off and hide somewhere else. It doesn't fight the light. It is transformed by the light and literally becomes light itself. The same is true of the divine love inside of you. That eternal presence is a light before which all things eventually transform and become one with it. There's another story from Aaron's recollections of Jesus that I love, where you can see this kind of transformation of darkness into light. So here is the story again from Aaron, or Nathaniel's, point of view. Jesus understood his power. He understood that he was divine. And yet he was humble because he understood that every being has that same power and divinity and simply has not yet realized it. He did not come just to teach us of his power and divinity, but also of the divinity of all that is. In his teachings, he did not set himself above others. He was not afraid of his power or his authority. He was not afraid to speak from that authority, but he did not command anyone to believe in him. Rather, he spoke his own truth and asked others to find the resonance of that truth in themselves. He did not lecture or instruct through words nearly as much as he modeled that which he hoped others would emulate. He modeled love in human relationships. He modeled loving kindness, respect, and reverence. And also he modeled power. I would not say that he worked miracles so much as he skillfully used divine power. He knew the innate perfection of all that is, and he knew how to bring that perfection to manifestation. But Jesus did not want people to focus on his healing powers. In my times with him, I occasionally heard him say he felt he had not fully succeeded in his mission because so many people misunderstood him and invested him with special power. People looked up to him and prayed, "Heal me, touch me, save me," rather than seeking his teachings to help them do this for themselves. He allowed others to place him on a pedestal, insomuch as it was part of their own learning process. But even so, whenever possible, his work was to empower others and bring their awareness to their own divinity. One time, while encamped outside a village, we heard a tale of robbers in the village marketplace. That evening, as we sat around our fire, a man crept forward from the shadows, literally on his hands and knees. He crawled up to Jesus and confessed that he was a thief and said, "Save me, save me, for if the villagers found him, they would have his hands cut off." He said, "They will cut my hands off and then my family will die. I will no longer be able to provide for them." And Jesus asked him, "Why did you not think of this before you stole?" The man was very ashamed. He said, "I could not support myself in any other way. My father was a thief. I do not know of any other way to support my family. I have been stealing all of my life. I know it is wrong, but this is all that I know how to do." Jesus asked him, "Have you any skill or craft?" The man looked down and shook his head. "You learned thievery from your father," Jesus said. "What did you learn from your mother?" "How to weave," the man said. "When I was a child, I would help her weave. As her hands became arthritic, I did much of her weaving for her. She was very talented." "And did people buy her woven material?" Jesus asked. "Yes," the thief replied. In those times, sheep were commonplace and many people owned some. Consequently, much yarn was spun and woven. We were encamped in the yard of a friend's family. There were too many of us to sleep in the house and no need for shelter on such a fine night. Jesus turned to the householder and asked, "Do you have a loom?" "Of course," said the owner. Jesus brought the thief inside and sat him before the loom. The man proceeded to weave a very beautiful pattern of fabric, an unusual pattern, with several stitches overlaid so that the yarn, though only one color, looked a lovely texture. "Do you know other textures, other patterns?" asked Jesus. "Yes." So Jesus planted the idea in the man that he was not a failure and not devoid of ways of supporting himself, and that he could indeed provide not only for his family, but also provide beauty for the world. "Go home," Jesus told the man. "Use your mother's loom. When I come through this village again, I want to see you weaving." And the man, he began to weep. The man had reconnected not only with his original creative expression, but also his sense of divinity, which was woven into the fabrics that he made. When we happened to pass that way about 6 months later, we stopped in for a visit. The man was weaving exquisite fabrics, and they were very much in demand. He sold enough to comfortably support his family. He also gave many away as gifts, especially to those whom he had robbed. Several weeks later, in a different village, I saw the man in the marketplace with his fabrics. Another village vendor pointed to him and said, That is the one who stole from me last year. Although the fabric that the man weaved looked the same, the man himself looked more pleasant and happy now. Other vendors who had been robbed by him also recognized him and said, "Oh yes, that's him. You're right." They grabbed him and they said, "Are you the one who robbed us?" It took enormous courage for him to admit that he did, and he knew the consequences that he might suffer. The custom then was to deliver justice swiftly. They all agreed that he was guilty, and then one who was wearing a shawl that this man had made for him said, "But look at what he's learned to do with his hands." As they looked around, they saw that many of them were wearing fabrics that this man had woven. They realized the man who had robbed them was in the same body, but he had become someone very different. They would not cut off his hands, so long as he dedicated himself to creating such beauty and promised never to rob ever again. I was very blessed to be present. That night, after the market had closed, the man came to Jesus and took his hands and knelt before him. He was in tears. He said, "You have saved me. You have given me my self-worth." And Jesus said to him, "No, your self-worth was always there. You made the choice to cast off your fear and the stealing it engendered. You have brought forth your own divine beauty, creativity, and love. It is you who developed this. I only reminded you that you could do it." The man had not considered this before. He looked at his hands that he had been so afraid would be cut off and said, "Just as God created the world, so these hands also can create beauty." He looked at his hands with wonder and renewed appreciation. Jesus said to him, "Yes, and the beauty flows from your heart through your hands. It is the divinity in your heart that holds the sacred blueprint of that beauty." The man sat there weeping, holding out his hands, and radiance shone from him that I had not seen in him before. Within that radiance, I recognized not only his, but every soul's self-worth and divinity. So you see that the light within one has the power to kindle the light within another. And we are all one united collective spiritual consciousness, of course, and that's part of why it's so important for each of us to protect and nourish our inner light the best that we can, even when others stand in fear, when perhaps they judge you negatively. Do not shrink before the opinions of their distorted or wounded self, the fearful self. Don't let your light go out, in other words, when someone else shows darkness. Instead, let your light burn brighter. Hold compassion and hold love so that your light will continue to show you the truth of who you are and the truth of who the other person is too, of course. Because when you hold the light, that consciousness of love, that light can reveal truth for the whole world. It can bring light to everything. Let's go to just one more story that also comes to us from Erin through the channel Barbara Brodsky. We were traveling in another place. We had settled for the night in a wilderness area up in the hills. Far in the distant valley, we could see the firelight of a village. It was dusk, and we were eating our dinner when some rough-looking men approached. They saw us gathered there. One of them recognized Jesus and said, "Ah, it's the one they call the rabbi." Jesus had been eating and sat there with some bread in his hand. One of them came up and grabbed him by his shirt and snatched the bread from him and ground it into the dirt. "Aren't you going to stop me?" he taunted. "Oh, that's right. Turn your cheek." And then some of them began to pull food away from the rest of us, trying to get us to fight. But we would not. My son Mark, who was about 10 at the time, was with me. The leader of the men grabbed him and literally lifted him off the ground. I felt Jesus' restraining hand on me. Jesus rose and approached this tall and hefty man who towered over him while holding my son up in the air. Jesus looked at him and said in a voice balanced with stern command and true compassion, "Put him down." He looked at this man not with hatred or pity, which only would have pushed him further, but with a divine love that no one could miss. Again, he said, "Put him down." Jesus helped that man get in touch with the divinity within himself, perhaps for the first time ever. This man's attitude of negativity began to dissolve right in front of us. Tears came into his eyes. He put the lad down gently. Before he could say anything, Jesus said to him, "Do not be ashamed." Lifting him in that way, it was your fear and anger speaking. Setting him down, it was your love speaking. And you have just proved which is the greater voice in you. The man only nodded. Then he and the others went on their way. In the presence of Jesus, I saw grown men weep. Not all. Some would push away with their anger. They were not ready to see. For a mirror to work, one must be ready to look. Jesus did not manipulate people. He did not force anyone to be where they were not. But for those who were ready to choose love over fear, he provided the mirror. And we all have that ability. All human beings are the children of love, the miracle children of light, with a mirror inside of us that has the power to reflect the light in each other. And in this way, we're all each other's teachers, all each other's saviors, if we are ready to see the lesson and to choose the consciousness of love. If you liked these channeled stories about Jesus, I highly recommend checking out Barbara Brodsky's book, 47 Stories of Jesus You Probably Never Heard, which you can order on her website, deepspring.org. These stories are so beautiful, and nothing could be better for celebrating the solstice and the birth of the consciousness of Christ, or rather, light and love within us. That's what Christ is. It's the light and love within us. And this solstice is actually one that's pretty special. So solstice arrives on December 21st, as you may know. And during this time, we will be able to see a cosmic alignment in the night sky, which is known as the Great Conjunction. The two largest planets in our solar system, Saturn and Jupiter, will be meeting in the sign of Aquarius. And they'll appear so close together that they will form one giant star, illuminating what many believe to be the beginning of the age of Aquarius, which is a time that is believed to be one of the moments of greater collective empathy and peace for the world, a new chapter for building that. And just as Isis, the mother of love and empathy, labored painfully in the swamps of darkness before giving birth to the new God of light, the new era of peace to come, maybe we too have been laboring to hold our strength over this past year, which for so many has brought fear and has brought big challenges of the work to be done, the darkness to be faced, the new ideas to hold, to help to keep kindling that light. This great conjunction in the sky is actually considered by some scholars to have possibly been the same alignment that formed the Star of Bethlehem 2,000 years ago at the birth of the Christ. The last time our Earth has seen this particular alignment in the sky was in the Middle Ages, 800 years ago. So these are pretty rare and extraordinary times, I would say. And this light in our skies just happens to be shining its little ray of hope into our world after a year of big challenges. Perhaps you might take it as a sign that the rebirth of light over darkness is happening here and now in our human collective. The consciousness of love is gradually awakening in our collective to illuminate a new world in which we have the power, if we choose it, to create a peaceful world together. So, if you have hope, love, inspiration, and joy in your heart, love it and nourish it, protect it, help it grow, because perhaps the time will be here soon for you to stand up and to shine it brightly out into the world, to reflect it like a mirror into the light within others. Let's go ahead and take a moment to come together and to practice expanding our light in a guided meditation. So take a moment to allow yourself to become calm and relaxed. When you are ready, you may close your eyes and take in several long and deep healing breaths, allowing yourself to shift into a state of deep healing peace. The peace and rest that flows through your body now begins to flow into your mind, allowing and observing as your thoughts become just a little quieter, growing still enough for you to feel a quiet, illuminating presence flowing up from the core of your being. Breathe into that illumination now. Allowing and observing as light expands out from your heart to shine into every cell of your body, into every particle of thought and feeling within your consciousness. Beautiful healing peace radiating through you, as if you are a glorious, three-dimensional stained glass window shining like a star from within. The angels now surround you in a circle of protection and light. Take a moment to feel the angels' presence, noticing as the pure consciousness of love pours from the angels into your heart. As you breathe that beautiful love and light from the angels in, notice as it fulfills your every need and desire instantaneously, delivering the exact energy of all that creates perfect fulfillment in your heart. Breathe it in deeply with the knowledge that this perfect, fulfilling essence is infinite It is endless. It is perfect abundance, constantly flowing through you always. Allow that beautiful fulfillment now to shine into every area of your life. Feeling as perfect fulfillment and peace settles into all that you know. Notice as you continue to breathe deeply that your inner light is growing, shining out, as bright as the sun. Anything that is not light, any pain from the past, now dissolves, transforming into pure light, pure peace, pure healing fulfillment. Visualize and feel your inner light brightening so beautifully that you can see and feel it spreading throughout the world into the hearts of all human beings. And the light grows brighter and stronger within them too, until the whole world is wrapped up in a beautiful luminescent blanket of gentle peace. The angels thank you for holding this vision, for holding the light with the others in this world who are ready to hold it. They now channel around you a beautiful bubble of rainbow-colored light, filled with love's greatest container, joy. Breathe the joyful energy of the angels in, allowing it to restore and uplift you, to remind you of who you truly are. Feel hope settling deep within your soul as joy spreads, illuminating the knowledge of why you are with deep certainty. Joy and love are who you are and why you are. The angels place that beautiful protective bubble of joy and love around everything that matters to you and your life now. Visualize this beautiful rainbow blanket of protection surrounding everything, and give yourself permission to receive the incredible gifts that come with it. With your next deep breath, gather that beautiful light, rainbow energy into your heart And then when you're ready for your next exhale, send that beautiful rainbow, joyful light down to the cells of your physical body, feeling all of your spiritual awareness and presence right here in the now, in this moment. Your love and your light grounded in this earthly world that we live in. Together we'll take in just one more relaxing, healing, deep breath. And then on your exhale, you may gently close your eyes and shift back into the room and moment. Thank you so much for joining me in meditation. If you enjoyed that, I have a little gift for you. Go to my YouTube channel and you will see my latest upload, which is a new guided meditation for winter solstice. In it, you'll receive a light body activation with the angels to help you to hold and channel divine love. And I think that you will really, really enjoy it. So do take a look at that. And now let's take a moment to answer your questions and angel reading requests. So I do see that there are already some questions and reading requests that were submitted, but if you haven't done so yet and you would like to, you can go ahead and type in your request in the chat at bringmetolife.com/Sarah Hall. And today I'll be working with the Keepers of the Light Oracle cards by Kyle Gray. All right, so let's go to our first question from Allah. Allah says, "Dear Sarah, I would like to ask the angels and guides, what do I need to know the most right now in regards to my career and relationships? I would like to know what the nearest future holds and what to focus my energy on the most at this time. What is my specific gift or niche that I need to offer to the people I teach? I'm open to receive the highest guidance that's ready to come through." Thank you, Allah. So what I'll do is I'll tune into the angels around you, and I'll also pull a card for each of the areas of your life. One for career, one for relationships, and just see what kind of guidance we get. So let's go ahead and actually start with relationships. The angels are guiding us to go there. The reason why is because they want you to know that your relationships actually have a lot to teach you about what your gift is. Your special gift is already inside of you. It's already something that you engage in regularly, is the feeling that I'm getting. The only thing that you need is not to know what it is, but to have the confidence to claim what you know it already is. The angels are saying to tell yourself, yes, I believe that this is my calling. I choose for it to be. So let's turn over the card for relationships. Beautiful. Okay, it's the higher learning card. Higher learning. So this is a card that represents someone who has usually learned from many different experiences and then teaches or models what you've learned to others. So this shows that in relationships, you might have more that life will certainly teach you as you go, but I'm also hearing the angels say to honor what you've already learned, honor the wisdom or the expertise or the ideas, the knowledge that's actually already in you right now. Because every human being still has things to be learned on our paths, right? We're not going to stop learning at any point. We'll learn till the day that we die. But that doesn't mean, just because you haven't learned everything yet, that you're not ready to teach or to help or to guide other people with what you have already learned and experienced. So they're handing you back your power in this. They're saying it's your power, your choice. You've got the power now. All you have to do is believe in yourself. Trust in what you already know. Now, the second card has to do with the career side of things. So let's go ahead and see what we have here. Okay, so the first card that we have is a card called Karma Releasing. And it is with, there's an ascended master depicted on this card named Saint Germain, who is actually said to be something of a magician, someone who is very, very, very wise, and he could manifest things amazingly. What the angels want you to know is that you have that kind of magical power to create transformations, rather to help people through transformations, to help them to release the things that maybe could have been holding them back in the past, or at least the things they believed or allowed to hold them back in the past. There are things in their self-concept that maybe weren't true that held them back in the past, and to help them to see new things. You have a very good way of, the angels are showing us problem solving and carving paths out of the weeds into the clear path. That just really, really helps people to know, how to find their sense of purpose, how to find their own divinity, how to find their own strength and their own sense of meaning. The angels are showing us that this is a big part of your purpose. And the only thing that they just want to help you with right now, the thing that they're helping you to work on in stepping into this role, is just authority. They're saying, wave a magic wand over your head and say, poof, I give myself authority to do this. I give myself permission to be a person of authority who stands up in the world and shares these things confidently. And if you struggle with it, which is so normal, I think many of us who feel called to help others or to lead or to do something, with our lives like this, we'll have moments where we have imposter syndrome, or we wonder, is this right for me? I'm unsure, can I do this? And the angels are saying that all it takes is sometimes to remember whom you're helping, to remember service, in order to have the ego set aside. Because the ego wants us to be focused on, I might not be doing it perfectly. Other people might judge me. I'm not sure if this is what I can or should do. But when we stop and we remember, hey, there's people out there that need my help. I can't waste any more time doubting myself. I've got to just get up and do it, even if it's imperfectly. Go forward and just start helping people, the angels are saying, and this uplifts everything that you're looking to see some growth and positive change in. The angels are showing us. Thank you so much, Ala. Okay, we have another reading request from Marion, who says, Dear Sarah, thank you so much for all of the beautiful messages that you bring us. Oh, you're so welcome. She says, I would love to have a general reading as I'm trying to be productive, but it's felt at times as if the brakes have been on. Yes. I've also had some really positive experiences recently, and would love to hear any guidance from the angels about how best to move forward in writing, work, and a strong desire to help others. Okay, thank you so much, Marian. It's a great question. I think so many of us also have that experience that you've discovered, where it's like we've got one foot on the gas pedal in life because we want to move forward, we want to do our life purpose, but maybe another foot on the brakes. So this is actually a really, really synchronistic theme that we have going on so far with the two readings that we've done so far, because it's a very similar kind of message. The angels are saying, ask yourself, what is putting the foot on the brakes? Because even sometimes if it looks to us like just a little procrastination, which we all can experience sometimes, I've experienced it myself, so I completely know firsthand, we have to ask ourselves, where does that procrastination come from? And most of the time it comes from fearing our own power, fearing that if we step into our power, oh wow, will that ever transform us? And it's true, while the ego, it fears when we become powerful, when we step into our power, when we wield our power, because our power transforms who we are. Just like we talked about earlier, about how the light is inside of all of us, and essentially that all the power that we wield is really God's power channeling through us. Well, that's like the kryptonite of the ego. When we stand in our power, when we channel God's essence through us, that divine essence through us. The ego must die or transform or, just become something totally different. So a lot of times it will put up the resistance around the things that will empower us the most, or the things that will cause us to transform the most. So what the angels are giving you here is a truthful statement, an affirmation that you can even use, which is, it is safe for me to be powerful. I claim my power. I allow myself to be powerful. And they want you to know that this is the approach that will actually fuel your writing and your work and your ability to help others too. Because when you really believe in the fact that it is safe for you to be powerful, to be under the spotlight, to be seen and heard in the world, that's when you'll be able to help people the most. And that's what it's all about, again, in the end, is that service. And service comes from love, and that love just helps so well to deactivate, ego when it tries to distract us or push us away from, doing our strong, light work out in the world. So for you too, Marian, the angels are saying, claim your authority by remembering I deserve to be powerful, and it is safe for me to be powerful, because when I stand in my power, then other people will also be able to stand in their power too. And by the way, the angels are showing us that this literally changes your energy field when you choose to believe in your power, or just confidently say yes, to your power. I trust it. I allow it. I love myself. I trust myself. I allow my power to shine. The change in the energy field is that the energy field actually grows bigger, and it holds a strong space around you. And when others come into your energy field, maybe they're reading something that you've written, maybe they are someone that you are helping or coaching or guiding or directing in some other way, they actually benefit from the authority that you hold. So if you hold a confident sense of, yes, I am a leader, I admit it, I am strong, I am confident in myself, I can help people, I can make a difference. When you admit that truth to yourself, other people feel that confidence too. And then they are able to let go and also be transformed within that energy field of shared power and light that you're allowing to be channeled into that shared space. So just remember that being self-confident is so important for all of us when it comes to our spiritual paths. And thank you so much, Marian, for that question. That was just beautiful. And it's so cool when we've got these themes that will come through with our readings. So our next question comes from Yulan, who says, "Hi, Sarah. I would like to receive some guidance from the angels. I have been doing some cleansing work in several areas of my life and am almost finishing my second time of 40-day manifesting abundance course of yours." Oh, you're doing the abundance course. It's beautiful. I'm so happy for you, Yulan. She says, "I feel so much clarified and empowered, body and mind. Now I notice clearly that there's some stiffness and heaviness in the left side of my body. I wonder if this indicates the imbalance of my yin and yang energies. What do the angels have to say about this and my journey? Thank you so much." Thank you, Yulan. Okay, so first of all, I'm so happy for you that you're in the middle of the abundance course, which really is, as you know, a ritual in manifesting abundance. And I've found, because I myself actually do the ritual, and I've done it many times throughout my life, that the more often that I do it, the more that I learn, and the more that my relationship with God, with the source, actually upgrades, the better I'm able to see through it. So the message that I'm getting when I tune into the left side of your body is that you're actually already on the right track in terms of an imbalance around the yin and yang energies. What I'm actually seeing, just in really simple terms from the angels, is that there is a past resistance to receiving, a fear that if I let myself receive, then maybe I'll be in the debt of, another person around me. This is very unconscious, by the way. You might not be consciously thinking this. It's more of an unconscious, sort of thought that just sort of got made somewhere within the mind of ego, which we all deal with. So it's this fear of receiving. It doesn't want to be indebted, to other people. And that fear of receiving is actually something that can come up when there is shared lack consciousness within sometimes a family or a community group or a society overall, where we kind of feel a little bit uncomfortable, when we receive, because we think of maybe the other person struggling in order to give to us, or the lack consciousness would say, well, if they're giving to me, then that means they have less. So that's not true. The truth is that abundance is infinite. The more that you give, the more that you receive. When you receive, you're not depleting or taking away from anyone else. You're receiving in the spirit of abundance. They're showing us that you've actually already laid an incredible foundation for transforming your inner relationship with abundance big time. So I just have to validate that, Yulan. You've done amazing work so far. I'm really, really happy to feel that, to see that in you. It's just this one other little extra area where it looks like your angels are adding more focus in transforming just what feels to be kind of an embedded or older pattern. Again, I keep feeling pulled back into maybe family ancestry with this. So if you've noticed that maybe this pattern has been present in people in your family before, or they have a tough time receiving, or they're more focused on over giving and giving and giving, that's definitely where sometimes a more of a stubbornness of these unconscious kind of hardwired little imprints can happen. But as we learned earlier today, love and light literally transform anything. So even if that old pattern was inherited, or if you learned it, in your programming in childhood and it made a strong imprint for some reason, that's no reason why it can't be transformed. And you're already working to do that now. So the angels are simply saying, focus on, I give myself permission to receive. It is safe to receive. I allow myself to receive. And I pulled one card for you, my dear, and it's the Shekinah, which symbolizes in this card here the sacred self. The sacred self. And I'm hearing the angels say your relationship with yourself is where you're going to see big transformations occur with regard to manifesting abundance and new opportunities in many, many beautiful areas of life. So bring more love into your relationship with yourself. Love yourself radically until you can easily and comfortably practice receiving, until that becomes the strongest imprint within your energy field, within your deeper conscious mind, etc. That transformation will be really beautiful, and you'll be stepping into your power very, very much. So I see that we are just at the end of our time together. I just wanted to see really quick if there's something really, really quick that we could do. Okay, very quick little question from Lori is, I'd like to know what happens to our pets when they pass on. Lori, according to the angels, they all go to heaven, which is a state of being where they are one with God, one with the spirit world. And in heaven, we are actually not separate from our loved ones. We are actually closer to our loved ones, both those who are living and those who are deceased, than we ever are before. Heaven is a state of pure unity. If God is pure unity with divine love, and we return to it when we pass, whether we're animals or whether we're people or whatever, then we become closer to the people that we love. So our loved ones, our pets, are actually around us still, and yet in heaven simultaneously. They're in a heavenly, perfect state of joy and union, peace and well-being. And especially our pets, they like to usually trail around and walk around us and protect us and enjoy us. And it's almost as if they barely experience a difference when they pass on, because they're so present. Our pets are so in the present moment that they just sort of allow that passage, and then they register, I'm here, and yet I'm in this heightened, incredible, beautiful, perfect, natural state, my most ultimate perfect natural state. And I'm right here with my family, the people that I loved, and I'm sending them my love. So thank you so much for asking that, Lori. Let's just squeeze in one more final question from Joko, who says, hi, Sarah, if you have a chance, I'd like some guidance about love life and the spiritual path. What do I need to know at this time? Just a quick message here, Joko. I'm feeling the angels give us the message that, first of all, relationships are a huge mirror for you in terms of your spiritual growth, your spiritual path, especially love relationships. The closer the relationship, the more intimate the relationship, the more powerful your opportunity to actually transform in the relationship, because two people who love each other very much are both trying to hold space for the love that they share, and oftentimes that's very transformational. The card that I pulled for you is the Infinite Abundance card with Lord Ganesh, which is so beautiful. And it essentially says that any obstacles of the past are being removed, and that there is an infinite abundance of energy flowing through you in terms of support for your love life, so you can expect good things. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody who wrote in today. I'm sorry that I couldn't get to all of the questions. I always wish that I could just, be able to do that, to spend more time with you guys. But thank you again for joining. Do mark your calendars and come back next month. I will be here for Through the Eyes of the Angels on Thursday, January 21st, same time. If you'd like to listen to today's episode again or share it with a friend, you can find it on your favorite podcast listening platform. And I'll also share the links on my social media pages too. do keep in touch with me on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And if you'd like to learn more about working with me and the angels in the new year to awaken your spiritual gifts and learn how to channel the angels yourself, then do visit the Work With Me section on my website, sarahhall.com, and I would love to have a chat with you about that. It's always an honor to share with you, and I'm wishing you all a beautiful rest of your day, a very happy new year ahead. All of my love, guys. Bye-bye.